Ain't this what they've been waiting for? You ready?
And now, the W with Walls and the crew.
Good morning.
Where winning isn't everything, it's the only thing. On 100.1 FM.
Good morning.
And Facebook Live.
Good morning. Right back like we never left. Another Saturday morning with the W Show, Kansas City, talking sports and pop culture. If this is your first time checking us out, we greatly appreciate you making us a part of your Saturday morning. We just talked about it offline, but yeah, it's been a busy past couple weeks.
Yes.
Past 2 or 3 weeks, actually. How is everyone's week?
Yeah, it's good this week. The previous week was a little nutty.
Agreed. Well said, Q.
What's everybody been up to?
Working. Really kind of staying out the way, getting prepared for summertime. A lot of weddings coming up, a lot of corporate events coming up too. So just getting geared up for that.
Wedding season.
Yes.
Yes. It's an opening bar.
I'm the crasher. Yeah, I'm the crasher.
I go to all open bars.
Nah, heck yeah. I think I have a couple of those this year. So.
Okay.
Holla at me.
Yeah, we need to be added to your
guest list.
You know how artists have their writers?
Yeah.
Put us on DJ Q's rider, Steve and Jazz.
I need that. Yeah. Definitely.
I know you got your girl, but I'll be another plus one if you need it.
No, she's not usually the plus one at the weddings.
Okay, period.
She's usually doing her own photography thing. So
all right, I'll slide in there if you need a substitute.
Yes,
I got
indeed.
you. Yeah, busy though. Big 12. We had the KC Current home opener last weekend, which was insane.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about it. Didn't even feel like you were in Kansas City with the views and the vibes.
It didn't.
But yeah, busy weeks.
So what's the stadium like?
It was really cool. We were talking a lot about the location and the way that they have the bridge in the background, the water in the background. Like if you even watching it on TV, you're like, is that Kansas City? You squint a little bit, and the hills and everything, the trees in the background almost look like mountains. It was just wild to really believe that was in our own city. Of course, the house was packed, so that was super cool. And then they got the dub, so the atmosphere was great.
I need to get out there and check it out.
It's a whole vibe.
I like the look of it from the freeway. So
and the colors pop too. I just don't think that they could have done the aesthetic any better. All the vibes, all the good vibes.
My only issue is, and this has nothing to do with Current, it's all to do with the city, and that's parking. And the traffic flow. I don't think the Current had anything to do with how set up with traffic and things like that. It's don't block some of the only access points of getting to the stadium. There should not be a one way in, one way out type deal, or one lane. Merge it when it's supposed to be merged. Don't merge it 2 miles down the road. Especially for those of us who run late.
And that's the look, facts. But I think that's the thing that Kansas City really has to hone in on over the next 2 years is really fixing those little small infrastructure problems. I love Chicago and how friendly they are with public transportation, mass transit, and they seem to have infrastructure figured out. I think we're on the way there, but if we could figure that out, it could definitely be better for T-Mobile Center. What is it? CPKC Stadium. Those different stadiums that they're trying to have downtown. So,
and the crazy thing is, even T-Mobile Center, they block off. They have it weird too because they block off the main street, which I get it, but there should be some other type of directional way. The Chiefs have it figured out. You can only go one way around the stadium, which is right. You come in, everyone goes right. You pull into whichever lot you're going. If your lot just happens to be on the other side, then you have to work your way around, get there earlier. But I feel like that is one of the arguments about why people are going to vote no on September 2nd. Or what is it? September 2nd? No. It's April 2nd, September. April 2nd, you go out and vote, yes or no, whether you want the stadium to be moved downtown.
Steve, are you ready for football season?
Man, I am actually. But I think that's one of the only reasons. Where are we going to park? where are the downtown residents going to, are they going to have a place to park if your building does not have a parking garage, which a lot of buildings don't have parking garages. I mean, it's old infrastructure, and they redid the inside, but not anything on the outside. And so I feel like that's one of the reasons that people don't want the downtown stadium. So I'm not here. I don't pay Jackson County taxes, so I'm not here to say yay or nay. I'm just throwing out one of the reasons why they say no.
I'm a no.
And
You know,
we can go into that.
Okay,
But
all right.
I'm a no.
And even like this past week, seeing it with the streetcar system and everything like that, like you said, winding around the city and trying to figure it out. I was even like, okay, but even if I wanted to ride the street, how do I get access? Like, it was very confusing. I think it would be hard to understand. Like, okay, so where do I park in order to get to the streetcar? How does that go? Because knowing down here in the back roads and everything, like Steve had said, everything's blocked off. So you're like, I just feel trapped. Like, how do I get to the streetcar? If I want to get to the streetcar, how do I park? How do I get there? And of course, I live right over the bridge in North Kansas City. So that was just a mess trying to get over the bridge, get into that general area. So, I mean, I get what they're going for. I know it's also a safety measure too, of one way in, one way out. But I think that there's a lot of kinks that need to be worked out as far in like communication on how to use the public transit in these positions. Because even on a normal day, I'm like, wait, how do I go about this?
Yeah. No.
So.
Yeah, let's get to today's headlines.
And now, here are the biggest sports headlines from this week. We bring them to you every Saturday morning on The W with Walls and the Crew on 100.1 FM and Facebook Live.
We're starting off with a bang. I know a lot of hearts are broken in KC this morning. According to a report, the Kansas City Chiefs are trading L'Jarius Sneed to the Titans for 2025 third-round pick, 2024 seventh-round swap. Oof, I know it's a business.
Yes.
But how do we feel about this one? Steve, we'll start with you.
Third-round pick, I feel like L'Jarius Sneed is worth more than a third-round pick and a seventh-round pick.
What do you think he's worth?
At least a second. At least one second-round pick. Just as well as he's played. He's only 27 years old. You're going to get, I would say, 3 to 4 good years out of L'Jarius Sneed. I mean, this last year isn't even his peak. He hasn't hit his prime yet. And so I mean, he may even go longer than 3 or 4 years, but I feel like you're going to get a great player in L'Jarius Sneed. Man, he should have me be a spokesperson.
Well said.
But yeah, I think you're getting a well-rounded player. Like, I mean, he came in the league. He was one of those later draft picks, and he worked his way to be the Chiefs' #1 lockdown corner. And I feel like you're getting a third round and a seventh round. Now I get it. You've been able to maximize those late round draft picks. You have, I mean, most recently you look at Isaiah Pacheco, who came in the 7th round, but that's a gamble. Like there's not going to be an Isaiah Pacheco every year that comes out and bursts his way onto the scene as a 7th round draft pick. It just doesn't happen. But I feel like L'Jarius Sneed going to the Titans, him going to be able to, because they had to, they're going to have to restructure. I mean, give him a new deal, of course. If they're trading for him, that's going to happen. And I just feel like they're going to get a great player, and he's worth what he's going to get paid, because he's already won 2 Super Bowls. When you come into any sport, there's 3 things I feel like that you want to do as an athlete. You want to be healthy, win a championship, and get paid to take care of your family, so that way you can be financially set for the rest of your life. And I feel like this allows him to do that. He's won 2 championships. He's healthy, and now he's able to take care of his family.
Yeah, and I was curious because I went back and saw what they traded Marcus Peters for, and that was a 4th round and a 2nd round.
The 2nd round, see, he got that 2nd round.
Yeah, and I'm sure I disagreed with that compensation back then. But I think I made the point a couple of weeks ago about how well they draft D-backs. Do you think that's part of that ethos of the team, that they have confidence not only in drafting, but also in free agency. They've done pretty well in free agency, especially when it comes to D-backs. I mean, you look at Tyron, and then following Tyron, coming right in after him is Justin Reed, and both of them were pretty much anchors of the defensive backfield. You have Chris Jones that's like the anchor of the front seven. Do you think this is a gaping hole? Because I mean, you could tell everyone about, his stats over the season, how miraculous it was that he didn't allow, what was it, a 100-yard reception
or a touchdown.
Or a touchdown. That's a gaping hole that the Chiefs haven't seen in a really long time. Do you think that they'll be able to recover from that loss of a guy that knows the defense, and I mean, he pretty much knows it inside out, seeing how he was able to utilize the position that he was in with the team to have such good stats. Do you think the Chiefs missed that?
That's yet to be seen, because I think the Chiefs are banking on a draft pick. And of course, they always get somebody in free agency. Like everybody wants to come and join this team in free agency. But I really feel like we have to credit Dave Merritt, the Chiefs defensive backs coach. He's been there 5 years, and he works with these guys. And he's like I've talked to Coach Merritt before, and he's like a no jokes kind of dude on the field, right? Like he's all about business, and I think these guys would run through a wall for Dave Merritt and also Coach Steve Spagnuolo. Now, don't get me wrong; the defense is good. Like the personnel group is good, but I feel like they're putting a lot of their eggs in rookie. He's going to be a second-year player, but Shamari Connor. He came out and played well. They like how he's aggressive, similar to L'Jarius Sneed. They have pretty much the same build. But is he ready for the starting role? I'm not really sure. I mean, they lost another guy who ended up signing with I can't remember where he signed, but Mike Edwards, who came last year from Tampa Bay. Who was on their Super Bowl team as well, and then won one here last year. So they're going to lose him, but they're also going to get one of their guys that was injured back. So there's some pieces moving around, but then there's also some staple pieces on that defense that will be here. Like you look on the other side, you have Trent McDuffie, who he was Pro Football Focus ranked number 1, number 2 corner all season. I mean, we saw his ability to create turnover, especially remember one that sticks out in my head is Tyreek Hill, where he caused Tyreek Hill to have that fumble, a huge fumble. So, I mean, you still have those pieces. You're going to pick up somebody in the draft, but then you get somebody in free agency too. They had to make a choice. Do we go back with Chris Jones or do we, L'Jarius Sneed? I feel like, and I've said this, to me, he was looking at all the other contracts that have been signed recently by defensive backs. The guy with Chicago ended up getting about, I think it was a 4 or 5 year deal, $90-something million, 4 years, something like that. So he's really getting a little over $21-22 million a year. I feel like L'Jarius Sneed would have been fine with, it's just me speaking, $20 million a year for 5 years, $100 million. I don't know how much of that he would have wanted guaranteed. Probably 50, maybe 30 to 50. But he just got to take care of his family, whatever he feels right for him. And I mean, kudos to him because he needed to get paid. I know there was some questions about his kind of lingering knee issues. He's had to have the thing drained before, so
obviously it didn't budge that much.
Yeah. So this trade is pending the I guess physical that he's going to have to take.
Now, before we were saying wide receiver, that's what we need to go after. So now do we shift from that and put our stock into the gap that he's making, or do we roll with what we have?
Later in the draft, I mean, you're picking last, which you've done that for these past 2 years, and past 5 years you pick later in the draft, right? So you know what you need to do. I always think best available. Like of course, not quarterback, but you've got to think, all right, is there a defensive lineman that's available? Is there a cornerback? Is there a wide receiver? Across their draft board, they have a bunch of different boards, right, of how they feel like pieces are going to fall. 1 through 10. But then once you get past that 10 to 15 mark of picks, it's like it's a crapshoot. You don't really know.
Yeah.
So that moves all your boards and move all your pieces around. But then you have some guys that you really like where you're like, all right, well, maybe he'll go second round. If maybe because really last pick in the draft is really second round.
Yeah.
Like at that point. But if on your draft, if I'm Brett Veach and I have my team with me and I'm looking, I'm like, all right, if this guy is a wide receiver and we felt like he'd go early, take him. Because he slid to us and it's like, oh man, we really gonna get him? So yeah, I feel like you go with just best available.
So if it's between a wide receiver or a CB, which one are you taking?
I'm taking a receiver.
You?
I mean, I'm thinking Andy Reid's thought process because they're offensive minded people.
No, definitely.
This is just a new thing with this defense being good. Like we haven't seen the Chiefs defense this good since the 90s. So I'm thinking from just pure offensive standpoint because you got Pat. So yeah, you got to go wide receiver. Just got to.
Yeah, because I mean that's his strength. Scoring fast is not really a thing for this team anymore, and I think they want to get back to that. But also you need a team that can be able to sustain drives to really kind of help out that defense, and I think that was a part of it this year somewhat. You still had the drops issue. But I think now you have to really key in on defense, because you lose Willie Gay, because you lose L'Jarius Sneed, because you lose a couple of different pieces that were productive. I mean, it's not really much you could say outside of them producing. I mean, Willie Gay was definitely a force. He miss some time this year. I think last year. It was last year. But he was definitely a force on the field.
Yeah, he missed 4 games beginning of the season.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And I mean that's a big gap. I think getting rid of Willie Gay. I mean Nick Bolton is definitely another one of those sideline to sideline guys. But I think those two really work well. So I'm in my mind, you would go defense. To answer the question, when you said
that,
household. Well, and I think as far as Pat, you could get a late round receiver or even just someone off of free agency. And defense, you really want to take those building blocks and start them off young. Did the Chiefs draft L'Jarius Sneed?
They did.
Yeah. So I think they do a good job of developing these defensive players. It's just a matter of, who can you keep, next to Pat. So
right. Who do you think is the best option realistically in free agency as a DB, CB?
I'd have to look at the list to see who's available.
There's a bunch of guys that are out there, but I think you can get away with a veteran dude, like more than you could from the offensive side of the ball. I think on the defensive side, you can get like a Stephon Gilmore aged type player right now, like because there's some other pieces that you can maneuver around him. So you can go with a guy similar to that in that age group that has played a lot of football that are just coming in trying to basically win a ring and play good. I mean, look how they did with Drew Tranquil last year. I mean, veteran dude who's like, man, I got paid. I'm just trying to win a ring. Now, not everybody's gonna look for that, but I feel like you can get away with somebody like that.
You could, and I think that's the smartest way to go. And that, again, I think that's where you go on offense. I think on offense you get somebody that is a veteran, that wouldn't mind coming to a slower pace city like Kansas City, and someone that's willing to win a ring. but again, I think you have to develop someone on defense. I think on both sides of the ball, it's a tougher learning curve. Um, but I definitely think you draft someone young and try to develop them on defense. Offense, I think you can fill that hole. You need somebody fast that can catch a ball, like, and not saying that that's easy. But I think there's a lot more people, a lot more players out there on offense that could be available than versus on defense. Because defense, you need that force, and especially if Pat is going to continue. Well, if the team is going to continue not being that quick strike offense anymore.
Offense sells tickets, defense wins games, Steve.
I guess so.
Now it's time to find out how your bracket's looking. I really don't want to talk about this one,
Yeah,
but
it's always
Thursday was the most watched opening round of the NCAA tournament since 2015.
How's the brackets looking?
Oh, busted. Completely busted.
So who busted your bracket outside of UK, outside of Kentucky?
Kentucky really did it for me, to be honest. Colorado kind of got saved by the bell. I thought my bracket was going to go down there too. Honestly, yeah, biggest one was Kentucky.
Kentucky for me.
I already called. I mean, I think KU is barely hanging on, even though it breaks my heart. But I already kind of called that, so that really covered me on the other end. But Kentucky for the most part, on the first day too.
Yeah. After watching so many Big 12 games, I was kind of familiar with these Big 12 teams. Like I knew Iowa State was gonna make a run just by while watching them and just seeing how they play. I knew Baylor would try to make a run as well. But nothing really surprised me except Kentucky, because I bet that parlay. I'm like, man, I know this is a lock. And I mean, I did. And Kentucky definitely threw me for a loop. I'm like, come on, man. John Calipari, you really did that? Like,
is this the end of the road for Calipari?
I think so.
Or is this a slump?
No, it's showing how he was able to get players. Now it's we always talk about it, man. These NIL deals killed all that. Super team, the one and dones throughout all of sports. And I mean, I was looking at one team Calipari had. I mean, he had John Wall, he had DeMarcus Cousins, he had Anthony Davis, all those top picks on one team, on NBA All-Stars on one team. I don't feel like that's gonna happen anymore. You got to go with, even though I hate to say it, you got to go with the Bill Self style of coaching. Bill Self had a lot of guys that he groomed or helped groom into like lottery picks. I mean, most recently, Ochai Agbaji. He came out as not a highly recruited kid out of Oak Park High School and becomes a lottery pick at KU. Like staying 4 years. You get guys. I think Bill Self has had a number of dudes like that. And you can't say that for. I mean, you can Coach K at Duke. He's had a lot of guys that have done the 4-year route, but he's had a lot of one and dones. Coach Self has as well. But I think more recently, Coach Bill Self has had the formula. Now, can he still have that formula? I don't know. I mean, yet to be seen. So
and it's tough because NIL does bring a lot of parity to the college sports as a whole, really, with football and basketball. Do baseball players get NIL deals?
They do. We just don't hear about them. Hopefully, Peyton Walls will get the first top NIL deal.
Definitely.
Put it on record
right now.
But no, I want to say that I hate this era that we're in, but I like this new era that we're in because it removes the old guard. You've got Coach K out of here. I mean, Calipari's on his way out. And I think it opens up room for the game kind of to become anew. The women's game has a lot of exciting players. And we've talked about that before. I think the men's game is kind of in that transition stage where, they need to develop some players that you know, can really become these household names. I mean, we were excited about Zion, but who were we excited about after that? And I don't think there's many. I mean, Ochai came, like you said, Ochai came out, relatively unknown player. His last 2 years he came out, but I mean that last year winning that championship, there's a difference in college basketball that's not the same in football. And in football, you could have a lot of these guys that you're excited about, but the college game, that one and done era, I mean, it really kind of like wrecked it because you don't have a lot of programs that were able to hinge on having, you know, this guy for at least 3 years or this guy for 4 years. And it really kind of blows up those programs. So now coaches have to alter their, you know, their coaching style. But I'm hopeful for the men's game that this NIL deal kind of like evens out in the next couple of years. I think it's just it's an arms race right now.
It's gonna have to, because I mean, you normally some of these teams like Coach Calipari was able to get those ready-made NBA guys.
Yeah,
I mean, we speak about Ochai. He wasn't a ready-made NBA guy. He had the body, the build, but there were still some flaws. There was still, can he dribble? There was still, I mean, in the league, he'd have to play a 2 guard or a 3. He wouldn't be a stretch 4 or a 5. He's just too small. So he's going to have to, you know, bring the ball up the floor. He's going to have to develop a better outside jumper. His 3-point shot has got to get a lot better. And what did he do? His junior year, his senior year, and in the summertime, he worked on it. And we saw that in his senior year where he developed. Just like, man, where'd he come with this outside game? I mean, he just worked on it in the summer, and now they feel like that's what Bill Self has been able to do. And then there's been some more coaches, and I know people are looking like, what? He says something positive about KU basketball. I did. I mean, I give him sometimes, you know.
Sometimes.
It ain't always the hate from over here.
It's a hard line, but sometimes.
But they almost lost this week since we're talking bracket.
They did.
But as far as the college game, and you two were up close being able to see the women's game and the men's game, what's missing from the men's game that the women's game has? Is it the fundamentals? Is it the star power? Yeah, I think it could be between those two, because I mean the women's game is definitely a fundamentally sound game. You have a lot of good scores on that end. There's not really a lot of excitement coming from the men's game. Do you think the star power is the issue, or is it more of, you know, these guys need to develop and be more fundamentally sound?
Can I dare to say both? I think, and Shaq talked about it a lot this week too, and he had even said, I think the women's game is bigger than the men's game right now. And I think it's because both sides, the women have been more personable. They've really worked the NIL deals. Like, I mean, you see Angel Reese, you see the USC players that are really Juju, that's getting like really out there and involved and doing a lot with their NIL deals and like kind of bucking the system. And I know Angel got flacked both ways for, oh, she is too out there or whatever she is, but they're really running with it. I mean, I know Angel had said in a press conference this week, whenever she was asked about her WNBA options, is she going to pursue that side? And she was like, I'm making money regardless. And so I think that was really cool to see, and especially coming from a woman, because I mean, we talked about this multiple times before about how women had to go overseas and play during off season just to fill the gap. And now for her on that platform to be able to say, I'm comfortable in the college game because I can make money regardless is huge. And so I think it's both. And then of course, with the whole Caitlin Clark and the 3-point contest dilemma, like fundamentally women are showing out in that way too. When have we ever had a 3-point contest go both ways? And so I think it's
Sabrina,
both.
Sabrina Ionescu. Talking with Steph.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think both. I'm at Caitlin Clark with her breaking the records and the all-time scoring records, and then the 3-point contest. I mean, I think that speaks to the fundamental side. So I think it's both, and I'm loving it. I mean, even I think that's credit to the women do stay. I mean, they're required to stay 2 years in the college game. So they're forced to be groomed. They are not as many one and dones. As much as it does break my heart with KU and their down year this year, I think that is, like you said, a lot of credit to self-coaching game. And I think now that on the men's side, a lot of those coaches are being forced to coach and not just receive the one and dones. Now you really have to groom, versus the women's game has already been used to that, already been used to grooming and sticking around and having to kind of build your brand for themselves. And so now this is kind of like allowing the women's game to shine more than the men's. And I think it's working well.
And I mean, even from coaching stands, because I mean, Dawn Staley, I feel like she's made a lot more noise than any men's coach this year. And really over the last 2 years, because I mean, we really were able to follow her closely last year, and then them going undefeated both years. Has there been a men's team undefeated in the past couple of years? I don't. I don't. Yeah. So, but yeah, I'm kind of excited to see what the women's game does over these next couple of years.
And even the Pat Summits before that with Tennessee. I mean, these coaches come in just as the women's coaches come in and stick around and groom just as much as the men's do. And I know a lot of that too with the recruiting game and stuff like that on the KU side was because of their allegations and were they going to be eligible for the tournament within these next few years. So I think that's big too, on why he didn't get a lot of those one and dones. But I mean, I'm excited. I'm excited to see it. I think KU is it's a growing year, growing pains this year.
I mean, and if you look at KU women's basketball, I mean, they ran off 10 straight at the end of the season. Didn't do so. I mean, they won their first game in the women's Big 12 tournament, but then they came up against Texas, and I feel like they still could have won had they not made the turnovers that they did. And stopped playing. You know, they just kind of stop passing the basketball, so to speak. But I feel like they're going to fare well. Like they played today at 2 out in LA. And I mean, I still have South Carolina winning it all. I really like K-State. I feel like
and LSU is out right now, isn't he?
LSU's going to play.
They're still playing?
Yeah. So I really like K-State. They're actually playing in Manhattan. That's the first round of the first and second round of the tournament. So they have some home court advantage, so to speak. But I think South Carolina is going to win it. And I got Arizona for the men. So.
And I have to shout out on the women's side, Iowa State's big. She dropped 40 in her NCAA debut.
She did.
Yep. Hey, the women's game is lit right now. I'm loving it. I really am. I love to see it. And I think it'll be interesting to see how much, like, overall this season and through the tournament, how much the women bring in on NILs versus the men's do. I think that'll be really dope to see.
Yeah, the women are more marketable to me.
They're personable.
Yeah.
I think they sell it. I mean, of course, with women, they have like all the cosmetics and, you know, more of the fashion game and stuff like that. But I think they're just more personable. I feel like you could go, and especially in press conferences, I know Angel's like the always talked about, but so personal in the conferences just to be able to like speak on things casual, you know. I feel like a lot of the times, especially now, the men are just so PC and like, oh, I know I'm going to the league, I'm just going to ride this out. But the women are just like here for a good time, not a long time.
Exactly. They have more fun. They definitely have more fun. If you're watching this or listening to us on 100.1 FM, turn us on social media. Tell us in the caption if you're watching us on social media, who you got in the tournament, men's and women's. We'll mention you.
Shout out. Now, MLB begins to investigate into gambling allegations surrounding Ohtani's interpreter. Steve, you're the baseball guy. How do you feel?
This is kind of crazy, to be honest. It's really crazy. Of course, Shohei Ohtani, he's a new player for the Dodgers. He's had taken the league by storm these past couple years because he's an outstanding pitcher and outstanding batter. And he has this interpreter that is, you know, accused of, so far he's been accused of, you know, gambling using some money, $3 million going into debt, $3 million, and Shohei Ohtani paid off his debt for gambling. That's the word, like that's the report. And so he asked Shohei Ohtani, he's like, hey, I'm in this debt of a few $1 million. Can you pay it off for me? And Shohei, yeah. And now they found out that that's illegal. Supposedly Shohei Ohtani wasn't the one betting. Supposedly his interpreter said that Shohei Ohtani had known nothing about it. He doesn't bet. He doesn't like to gamble at all. But that's all the allegation out there. It gives you that what if. What if he was betting on Shohei Ohtani's interpreter also said that he doesn't bet on baseball. So what if he was given some inside information? Because if you're a family member or you work for an organization across any league, you cannot gamble on sports. Like, you have that inside information that nobody, the general public, cannot get. So now they're launching an investigation. Hopefully he didn't bet on baseball. If it does, this may become another Pete Rose type issue. Do they ban him for life?
And that, I think that's the slippery slope that you have with betting becoming such a huge industry. I mean, we have ESPN Bet now. We'll never be able to get away from betting at this point.
Shoot, the NBA has they just allowed a betting show on NBA Network TV. So NBA TV has a betting show on their network.
That is crazy. And it's crazy because, again, we remember the Pete Rose era.
Yep.
We remember how much of a scandal that was, him being removed from the game, and then his campaign, what was it, about 4 or 5 years ago, being allowed back into baseball.
Yep.
Betting is a slippery slope. Because there's a few things that I want to say about it, but I think we're too far gone in the profit landscape.
Right.
Like, I think it's too it makes too much financial sense. And I don't think we run away from it. But how do you regulate betting? Like, I don't think there's a way to regulate it. We had it was 2 NFL players over the last couple of seasons, and now we have a baseball player involved. I'm not gonna say it gets out of hand. I'm not gonna fear monger like the Chiefs trying to get a new stadium, but I think this gets out of hand, and I don't know how you disguise, because I mean, you can make a Finsta. And everybody can do that. And a couple of NFL players that they were dummies. They did it on their own phone, on their own Wi-Fi.
No, from the facility.
And that's what I'm saying.
Facility.
They were dummies. So now that you have these cautionary tales, like, there's gonna be workarounds.
Loopholes and everything.
Exactly. And I don't know where we go from here with betting, because I don't even think this is gonna be the one that takes the cake if it lands bad for everyone. So,
and there's always insider information. Always. I mean, whenever there's green, people are money hungry.
Yeah.
You know, the green, it makes you do weird things, right? So I can't wait for more information to come out, because I mean, we can say that it's Shohei Ohtani's ignorance of not knowing, that it's illegal to pay off a gambling debt, but it's your money that went towards sports betting, whether it was a debt or whatever it was, it still went towards this, this loan shark. It still went towards that. So, how do you, him being one of the faces of baseball,
exactly,
how do you, like, I would say, punish that? Because there's going to have to be something. This is because you just don't know. You just don't know if, once the loan shark got the money, is he going to be truthful and say, hey, he did not bet on baseball, or his interpreter did not bet on baseball? Will it be truthful? Because the next person that gets caught, because there will be somebody else.
Yes.
The next person that gets caught is going to say, all right, well, you didn't punish Shohei, so why am I getting this treatment? So, and at the end of the day, his interpreter is going to be the fall guy. Like,
easily.
He's going to be the fall. Like, hey, man, I paid off your gambling debt. You've got to be the fall guy.
And they'll probably pull someone else out of thin air, too, just to make an example. But still think it's far too gone.
Now, a little bit back to the NIL deals. Angel Reese did say she'll have NIL deals regardless of WNBA decision. Let's hear from Angel Reese first.
For me, I've honestly learned that regardless, I'm going to be able to make money staying or going. Understanding that my brand has been built where I know that more than being in college is something that I can do. Like I have a brand outside of here where the deals are going to follow me if I leave or stay. And I've built that relationship with a lot of these brands. I don't just have brands that are in college. I've had brands that are long-term deals that are just past college. And I think that's the difference. Like one of my Reebok deal, and I'm sure Haley's Adidas deal, that's going to go on past college. So, of course, we may not have the same benefits of the same training rooms, the commercial flights and stuff like that. And I think, of course, that's the con of everything. But it's a win or lose situation regardless of the decision that we're going to make. But you have to make a sacrifice in understanding what you want and what it's going to take.
I love it. I already kind of alluded to it earlier, but yeah. Q?
No, I love it because it gives these players a jump on a piece of that development that we talk about that players need when they jump into the professional game, and being able to handle these multi-million-dollar portfolios, being able to handle those finances, but then also being able to take care of business on the court, and then also preparing yourself to be on the court, and keeping your body healthy. I mean, it's just another step in becoming a professional. And I love it for these kids. One, because a lot of college players have been exploited over the past 100 years or so. But I love that it gives these young people a sense of business and being able to survive in the business world, having these $4, $5, $10 million deals sitting on the table.
And I love to see this transition personally in Angel, because this was the same player in the beginning of the season that we were talking about that wanted to take a mental health break to just focus on basketball. And then now to see her get up there and talk about how she's able to manage sacrifices, and you have to choose what's better for you long term. I think that's dope just to see her. Obviously, she's learned a lesson about business. She's learned a lesson about basketball and juggling both. And so I thought that was really dope to see her kind of take that perspective now and say, like, now I understand that I'm going to be successful long term. I understand the stuff that I have outside of basketball. I just enjoyed seeing her grow as an adult, I guess. And
just looking at her deal, she currently has $1.8 million NIL deal valuation, and that's according to On3. So her endorsements include Topps, Airbnb, Reebok, Tampax, Beast by Dre, and over the summer she was a part of Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue. Now looking at Caitlin Clark, she currently has a portfolio as well. Her valuation is $3.1 million. So just looking at all these deals, it's give me $1.3 million. I like to stay in college because I mean, you're hanging out, you don't have nothing to worry about, just hoop and books. That's it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean that,
what
and
you think her dorm room look like?
I mean, she also has to
stand in the dorm.
Yeah, but she also has to.
In the dorm?
No way.
Yes.
Off-campus housing.
But she also has to manage employees. Like
True.
You're not managing $1.3 million on yourself.
Yeah.
True.
True. So she definitely has to pay employees. She has to, do the whole business owner thing. And I don't think people understand that end of it. Like, yes, you need mental health break from that, because you're going to spend 20 to 30 hours just a week on business. And that's not counting workouts. That's not counting class. That's not counting media. So yeah, round of applause for her, especially for getting over that hurdle earlier in the season.
Facts. Now we're going to take a quick break. Coming up, we'll discuss LeBron James. Keep it locked in. This is W Show. We'll be right back.
Oh, my goodness.
LeBron.
We're tuned in to the W with Walls and the Crew, where winning isn't everything. It's the only thing. On 100.1 FM and Facebook Live.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
Come spin with us, Kansas City. KC WeSpin 360 is the coolest 360 video spinner experience for events. KC WeSpin 360 is taking it to the next level. The 360 video spinner platform rental will be the life of the party. Everyone will be talking about their 360 video experience while bragging about it on their social media pages. The captivating slow motion and reverse effects will have your guests feeling like celebrities. The KC WeSpin 360 video spinner can capture slow-mo videos, GIFs, and boomerangs from every angle. Specializing in corporate events, weddings, social gatherings, bar bat mitzvahs, school events, and fundraisers, KC WeSpin 360 can be found online at kcwespin360.com. Come spin with us, Kansas City!
Your loved ones matter the most. Take the burden away by pre-planning personal arrangements that fit you and your family perfectly. Golden Gate Funeral and Cremation Services will be here to comfort your family and take special requests. Plan and feel confident your loved ones will be less stressed and can console each other in their time of need. We will be here when you need us at 816-231-GATE or visit kcgoldengate.com, exchanging your grief for a golden experience.
Football fans, you can't spell gate without Gates, and great tailgates start with Gates sauces and seasonings. Named synonymous with mouth-watering tailgates. When you make your list of tailgate essentials, add Gates sauces and seasoning to that list. Spice up your tailgate experience with that unmistakable great taste. Available in 4 tantalizing flavors: classic, sweet, mild, and hot. Find it at your local grocer, and if you don't see it, ask for it. Visit GatesBarbecue.com to purchase any of the great sauces and seasonings. Great tailgates start with Gates.
Remember to interact with our show. Use hashtag talk about it. Message us. We'll talk about whatever topic you want, especially if your bracket's better than mine. I want to hear about it. Let me know.
Round and round it goes.
Holler at us. Now, LeBron James and JJ Redick, our Team for Basketball Focus podcast. Steve,
Why you look
the
at
hater.
Me? Why you look at me?
The number one LeBron James hater. Let's hear it.
I'm president of that club. Here, present.
Yikes. What's your hot take?
No, I mean, I think it's cool. He's jumping into the podcast space. We know that LeBron outside of look, my I guess my perception of LeBron and my thoughts on LeBron of basketball and outside of basketball are two different people.
Oh, let's hear it. I want to know the outside.
Outside of basketball, I feel like he's a phenomenal person. Like his business acumen and the way that he's put the correct people around him to make sure that he's, I guess you can say, insulated, and his business mind. I feel like he's up there to me with Magic Johnson, and I say that Magic Johnson is one of the top, has one of the top business minds as a former athlete. But I think that this is definitely his transition into, now don't get me wrong, he has other avenues of entertainment and other things that he does, of course, at school in Akron and all that. But I feel like this is his, exit from basketball. I think because we see across the league, across all sports, guys start dibbling, dabbling while they're still playing into something that they want to get into.
Right.
And I think this is a lane where he's like, all right, I mean, he already has the shop, but he's not on there all the time. And that's the kind of a podcast type show that they do on YouTube inside of a barbershop. And then he has his some other brands that he's done with movies and directing and things like that. But I feel like he wants to be on the camera too. And I think this is an avenue where he's able to, all right, let me go in and start talking basketball. That way I can, maneuver my way onto a first take or create. And I don't think he'll go to one of those, but I think he'll create his own.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is his avenue into it.
Cool.
I think it's really smart. I think it's smart from a sense of, you look at all of these, players and former players that have podcasts right now, they're not really talking X's and O's. They're not talking about the game, purely the game. A lot of it is, what happened with different players, versus coaches, and all of the gossipy stuff, all of the
Clickbait type.
The clickbait type of stuff. And this is just them purely talking X's and O's. And if you're a fan of basketball, it's really going to be hard to not tune in to this type of talk, because one, it's a high level, and then it also shows like the type of cerebral player that LeBron is, being able to, take information and process it as fast as he does, but then also being able to make the right moves in the moment. So being able to hear a player of that caliber, to be able to talk about his thought process throughout the game, but then talk about the different strategies like that. I think that's going to be key for the development of a lot of, men players that we see coming up, is being able to see LeBron talk about these things. We didn't hear Jordan talk about, like, the most in-depth Jordan would go is, I had to lie to myself to beat these people. It was more brute versus like LeBron. He'll actually talk about getting teammates involved, helping get other teammates confidence and things like that. Jordan ruled by fear. Like, if you hit that shot, I'm gonna punch you in the mouth in practice. Versus like that bad. Like Jordan's punched some teammates, so let's not act like he hasn't. Draymond wasn't the first, but like, to be able to see the more sophisticated side of that, I really love it. And I need to tune into a couple, even though I don't understand basketball from that deep of a sense.
Now, Deion Sanders responds to a story about his unique recruiting style. It was documented his highly unusual style is not making a single home visit or off-campus contact with recruits since his hiring. Let's hear from Coach Prime.
Let me address something else that I think I need to address. I don't know who did it. I don't know if they're in here. If they are, you could just raise your hand like we did when we were in nursery and we said here. There's an article that came out that said I don't go on visits. Okay. My approach, it's totally different than many coaches' approach. Sometimes I'm a businessman as well, so I try to save our university money every darn chance I get. So for me to go to, let's just say I'm going to Florida and I'm visiting whatever school, IMG. You don't think those coaches are going to be a little upset if I don't come by the school down the street? You don't think it's going to be pandemonium if I'm going to get naysayed if I don't go another 45 minutes? Then if I go to that one, then I go, well, I didn't come to that school. Now the coach is mad, so he's not going to let the kid come because he's mad because I chose that, go to that school over that school. See, other coaches, they could do that, but I can't. And I've really pretty much done a personal survey. I really, truly, in all my heart, believe that parents don't want me at their house. They want to come see my house. They want to see how I live, how I get down. They want to see what I got going on, what God has done in my life. I know when I was in college, I did not want Bobby Bowden in my house because I knew after 7 o'clock it was going to be rats and roaches on parade doing their thing. So that was just straight up, honestly. I didn't. So that never transpired. That never happened for me. And we target mostly guys that's in the portal.
They target guys that's in the portal anyway, so I don't think that's big of a deal. Guys that are in the portal really don't care about. All they want to know is how you gonna get them paid.
Yep.
Are they gonna play?
I think he made a point because the caveat was him saying like he wants to save the university money, and I think that kind of speaks to how they open up the purse for certain coaches to go do these lavish visits and things like that. And I mean, I like the position that he's in. Like he's about the business of it and really trying to push the team and the university forward.
Definitely. And I think it's like a prime example of whenever you want to make it somewhere, you go talk to the person that's been in that position.
Yeah.
I don't want you coming to me. So I think it's fair. On that note, we're going to take a quick break. Coming up, we'll dive into our Hater Love It segment. Keep it locked in.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
Come spin with us, Kansas City. KC We Spin 360 is the coolest 360 video spinner experience for events. KC We Spin 360 is taking it to the next level. The 360 video spinner platform rental will be the life of the party. Everyone will be talking about their 360 video experience while bragging about it on their social media pages. The captivating slow motion and reverse effects will have your guests feeling like celebrities. The KC We Spin 360 video spinner can capture slow-mo videos, GIFs, and boomerangs from every angle. Specializing in corporate events, weddings, social gatherings, bar bat mitzvahs, school events, and fundraisers, KC We Spin 360 can be found online at kcwespin360.com. Come spin with us, Kansas City.
Your loved ones matter the most. Take the burden away by pre-planning personal arrangements that fit you and your family perfectly. Golden Gate Funeral and Cremation Services will be here to comfort your family and take special requests. Plan and feel confident your loved ones will be less stressed and can console each other in their time of need. We will be here when you need us at 816-231-GATE or visit kcgoldengate.com, exchanging your grief for a golden experience.
Football fans, you can't spell gate without Gates, and great tailgates start with Gates sauces and seasonings. Named synonymous with mouth-watering tailgates. When you make your list of tailgate essentials, add Gates sauces and seasonings to that list. Spice up your tailgate experience with that unmistakable great taste. Available in 4 tantalizing flavors. Classic, sweet, mild, and hot. Find it at your local grocer, and if you don't see it, ask for it. Visit GatesBarbecue.com to purchase any of the great sauces and seasonings. Great tailgates start with Gates.
It's that time for Love It or Hate It.
Hate it.
If we love it, we talk about it. If we hate it, we move on.
Sneakers, starting off our sneakers of the week, we got the Air Jordan 9 OG Powder Blues.
Love them.
Love them.
I wanted to get these today. These bring back so many memories when I was back in like 5th grade. I think 5th grade. Yeah.
Yeah, because these are classics.
Jordan 14 Flint Grays.
Love them.
I like these a
sweats
little
with
bit.
these. Woo, fire.
Tough.
Yeah.
My favorites this week, the Dunk Low Plums.
Plums, womp womp.
No?
No.
I like them.
I like them. And last but not least, the Trophy Room Jordan 1 Low OG Home.
Fire. Wish I could have got them.
This is a good list, Steve. It's been a while.
Tough.
It's been a while.
Don't blame me. Blame Nike.
Nah,
Very
it's been
nice.
a while.
Very nice. James Harden close out contested teammate Kawhi Leonard's 3-point shot. Hate it or love it.
I love it. I think it's funny.
Let's see what happened.
21-10 here in the third. Harden accelerates. Kawhi catch and shoot 3. Rebound back top.
That was funny. Like, and the reason he said he wanted to do it is because he just wanted to bring some excitement to the team.
Yeah, like
You up 20? Why not? You bored anyway.
Right. If only he would have made it. That would have been tough too. Oakland's head coach Greg Camp says Louisville fans bought $8,000 in Golden Grizzlies gear after upset of Kentucky. Hate it or love it.
I love it. Troll them.
wow.
Troll them. Troll
funny.
them.
Love it. NFL still in talks to expand to an 18-game schedule. Hate it or love it.
Hate it.
I hate it. I mean, more depending on where. If it's all away games, that's cool because you get to go to the game, so it's all good. We appreciate everyone who joined in on today's show. Remember to interact with us. Use hashtag Talk About It, and we'll talk about whatever topic you want. You can catch a rewind of our show on Mondays, 100.1 FM. Until next week, we are out of here.
Peace.
Go Arizona.